Once a man came to the Prophet ﷺ and requested him for some financial assistance. He asked him for some money. The Prophet ﷺ gave him something, and the man did not really respond to this. So he asked him that, have I done good to you? Ahsantu ilayk. So the man said, La wala ajmalt. You haven't done good to me and you haven't been nice to me either. When the companions of the Prophet ﷺ saw this, they became very upset. They tensed up. And it looked like a few of them were going to approach him and maybe have a word with him and perhaps put him in his place. The Prophet ﷺ saw that the companions are very angry and someone might say something to this man. So he said to him, why don't you come over to my house? Called the man over, and in his house the Prophet ﷺ gave him some more money. Then he asked him that, have I been good to you? He said, yes, and may Allah reward you on behalf of my family and on behalf of my whole tribe. So the Prophet ﷺ said, look, when you came the first time, when you approached me in the masjid and I gave you something, your response was different. And now your response is something else. So my suggestion is that you repeat in front of my companions what you just said to me here in my house, so that they understand that everything is okay and that you're not upset and that you haven't been rude. So he said, okay. So the Prophet ﷺ took the man out of his house, and he told the companions that, look, this man came and whatever happened, you all observed. But then when he came inside my house, I gave him something else, and his statement changed. I want you to hear that statement. So the man made dua for the Prophet ﷺ. He thanked him. Then the Prophet ﷺ gave an example. He said, my example with this man is like someone whose camel has suddenly escaped. The camel has escaped, and now everyone is looking for the camel. A whole search party out trying to get this camel. But the more they chase after this camel, the further and faster it runs. And the further it moves away from its owner. It's now trying to escape this mob of people. It's frightened, and in its fear, it is no longer reachable. So the man says to all this search party, he says, you guys leave it aside. Just forget about the camel. Let me sort out my camel. I need everyone to stop running after it. So when people back off, he goes and collects a little bit of food, and then he goes close to where the camel is, and very gradually, slowly convinces the camel to come back. And once the camel realizes that it's just my owner and he has some food for me, the camel comes back, so he gets on top of his camel and away he goes. Similarly, if everyone jumps on a person and tries to correct their mistake or gets upset at them, this is going to take that person further away. And if the person who this individual has a connection with approaches them and uses a more compassionate approach and looks after them, then the problem is resolved. Through this hadith, through the action of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and through this example that he gave us, he's teaching us to look beyond the moment. Sometimes there is a moment when someone does something that's perhaps inappropriate. They might be rude to you, they might be saying something that's upsetting you. And that will happen. That will happen many times in life when someone will say something that will upset us. But the Prophet ﷺ taught us to look beyond that. What else is there? At the end of the day, what should my relationship with this person be? In this case, he was a follower of the Prophet ﷺ. He was a believer. The Prophet ﷺ looked after him. And then he told the companions also that, look, everything is okay with this man. In other words, leave him alone. He's okay now. What happens with us is when someone says something that it annoys us, disturbs us, or does something that's annoying or disturbing, right away we write them off. We sometimes burst out in anger or in retaliation. And this mentality it's not a good word, but this mob mentality, that we get our friends together and then we start trying to intimidate the person or make them feel uncomfortable or make them feel excluded in different ways, sometimes in subtle ways and sometimes in very open and clear ways. This was not the way of the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. Even though what the man had done was incorrect in terms of akhlaq, incorrect in terms of deen and iman. But the Prophet ﷺ did not allow this mentality to develop that, okay, now you guys go after him on my behalf, you guys sort him out. I know I have my followers, I have my guys, I have my team. It wasn't like that. So we also need to approach each other with more open hearts, knowing that everyone is going to make a mistake. Sometimes we will be the one making the mistake, sometimes we will be the recipient of someone else's mistake, and that's just how life is. That's how life is, and that's how people are. And the people that we will spend the rest of our lives with will also be like this. Sometimes we will make a mistake in regards to them, sometimes they will make a mistake in regards to us, and we have to find a way to somehow mend the affair and then move on as if nothing has happened. And we should never create an environment where we're building an opposition against someone, or we're creating an environment where deliberately and by design someone is being made to feel left out. Somebody is made to feel odd, or made to feel like they don't belong, or made to feel like no one likes them. That is not the Islamic approach to things. And that's definitely not the kind of approach that we should be using in school. And look, all of these beautiful teachings are coming directly from the Prophet ﷺ. So may Allah Azza wa Jal enable us to implement these beautiful teachings, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to walk on this path. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een.